Welcome to the Sentence Master YouTube channel. Today in my video, I am going to discuss a very new topic. I don't think you all are familiar at all, which is called English through local culture. Socio-cultural theory of communication is described in my description. So please refer to the description for the background. This method is important for the students in rural areas as the rural community lack access to English language and they end up finding it very difficult and very unproductive finally. So I did a project with my teacher trainees who were at the Unamatuna Teacher Training College, and we found that this method actually works well for the rural community. So without wasting much time, I'll first start with the problems faced by rural students, and then I'll go to talk about the problems faced by English teachers in those schools, and finally how English through local culture can be introduced as a supplementary curriculum for the general curriculum enforced in the island, because we cannot have a separate curriculum for the rural students. Now let us start with the students' problems. In rural areas, students face many problems. First one is financial difficulties. Due to their poverty and being children from low income families, they don't have enough money to buy books and reading material to improve English language knowledge. Sometimes even they don't have shoes to wear, no bags to carry their books. So without all this having any facilities, it's very difficult for them to learn English. No proper housing. You can see in my video some of the brick houses and kajan roofing that the students have. During the rainy weather, they can't even keep their books. Their parents mostly are uneducated. Mostly they are farmers and laborers. So although they are maybe intelligent, but they are uneducated. So therefore they cannot talk much about the importance of English language to the children. Sometimes in their schools there are few classrooms, and sometimes on rainy days they have to conduct classes in open space. Sometimes they don't have land. Enough land is not available for the poor rural community because most of the businessmen in the areas own the lands and no food. And as a result, sometimes the children have no food and they suffer from malnutrition. There's a lot of alcohol abuse and drug abuse, and to add to that, child abuse in these areas. In their schools too, they don't have proper facilities like library facilities, laboratory facilities, playgrounds, and so on. So with all these problems, it is difficult for the children to learn English as a second language. Now in the project I did with the English teachers, the teachers had expressed that they face a lot of problems in teaching of English as a second language in rural areas, as the students are completely dependent on the teacher. They don't see the teacher as a facilitator, but only as someone who will teach them everything they need to know. This is one thing due to their dependence on private education too. And they are very dependent on teachers, and they have persistent use of first language. So very difficult to get them to start the second language. They are very deficient and sometimes in their vocabulary, and they want to say certain things, but they can't say those things because they don't have enough vocabulary. As a result, they become defiant and distracting in classrooms, creating trouble, and they are very unmotivated. Because of their unmotivated nature, the teachers also find it difficult to get the good results. Most of the material given by the Department of Education, or rather Ministry, some material is difficult. Because of the difficulty level, they find the material boring and they don't create much attention to the classroom teaching. They are unclear what to do and how to do anything properly on their own, because there is no prior preparation for any of the lessons, as the teachers don't have much practice in peer group based self-learning concept, where they can tell the students that next week I am going to do this particular lesson. So divide the class into groups and ask them to find some information and come ready, which is very important, but I don't think they do practice that method now. So because they are unmotivated, inattentive and bored with the lessons, they keep away from these classes. So they have disruptive behavior, and finally if they fail the general examinations like O level and A level, they drop out from school and may become criminal elements. So now let us look at the benefits of teaching English as a local culture, as a part of the local culture. Easy to identify difficulties and more opportunity to learn. The material lot of familiarity because it is related to their immediate environment, related to their culture, society, livelihood and family. And the difficulty in the word order of Sinhala and English being different. English language word order is SVO and Sinhala language word order is SOV. So we cannot translate Sinhala to English, which is not effective at all. In translation theory, what is important is to translate ideas and not vocabulary or sentences. So it is important that they build up ideas through the first language, but try to express it in the English language in a natural way. So this can be done with this new approach. This is more appropriate for peer learning and self-learning, as they can learn now on their own because they can relate themselves to the immediate atmosphere rather than alien materials. You can introduce the scrapbook or tell them to keep a notebook and learn vocabulary as they like. Now let us see some of the activities that can be done to learn English and to use English without fear. First, let them learn these three statements. I like to speak in English. I can speak in English. I am not afraid to speak in English. After they learn these three statements, they will lose their fear of learning or talking in English. Now, first of all, I start with agriculture because home gardening and other activities are very important for children in rural areas. And most of them are farmers, and in the rural areas it's very important to learn how to do agricultural pursuits in their areas, as their livelihood mainly depends on agriculture. But if they are in coastal line areas, fishermen, industries like fisheries will be also important. And then we can teach children how to make food, small simple food items like a coconut sambal, how to cook rice porridge, how to prepare rice porridge. You can see in the video some of the assignments that teacher trainees have produced regarding these activities. And the children can learn how to express their ideas, how to plant certain things in their gardens, and how to look after these plants, and etc. etc. And then we'll move on to also various problems the students face in their areas. For example, lack of proper roads, lack of transport, and also poor housing. And due to poor housing, sometimes they get very badly affected due to bad weather. So they face severe difficulties, and they can express some ideas about them. Like, for example, no road to go to school. Iskolite yanna parak naha. Things like that, they can address those issues, social, economic, the other cultural and various issues that affect them in their areas. Another thing that children can learn to do is to talk about the officials present in their neighborhood. For example, Samurdhi Niladaris, Grama Niladaris, and various other officials. And also they can talk about shopkeepers, vendors, craftsmen, and other people available in the area, various people and their various vocations. They can learn how to talk about the important places in their area. Then also natural environment, for example, mountains and then hills, waterfalls, rivers, lakes, streams, etc. They can learn how to describe these natural phenomena in whatever ways they can use the language. They can also talk about natural disasters that affect them severely and how they overcome the difficulties created by these disasters. Another interesting thing that you can use for teaching English through local culture is the folklore, in Sinhala called Janasrutiya, where Sinhala folk tales and fables can be used. We can translate poetry written by famous Sinhala poets like Kumaratunga Munidasa. Poems can be selected to suit their age and to suit their level. And there are so many poems like Pal Kavi, Karatta Kavi, Goyam Kavi, and various other folklore, poetry, drama, singing, and various things associated with local culture. The children can learn them, and then they can write in English what they feel about these poems. Like sometimes back we got the students to translate a poem called Thandale Denna Depole, and also a song called Atite Sinak Pamana. And we found that they were able to say something interesting about these songs. They could translate them into whatever way they could do. And also we can use some dramas, legends, fables, folk tales available in our culture. And we can first ask them to read these in Sinhala language and get the idea only. Remember, it is not good to train them to translate sentence by sentence, because sentence order is different. English sentence order is different from Sinhala sentence order. English sentence word order is SVO, but our mother tongue, the Sinhala word order is SOV. So it's always best to tell the students to get the idea in the first language and to write them in whatever way, in a natural manner, what they feel in the second language. And the next thing that you can make use of Sinhala teledrama, stage dramas, clippings, video clippings from films, and also social media. Now, Sinhala teledramas, you should use some standard Sinhala teledramas with some standard and also with good for the young children, which are exemplary for the young students. They can watch these teledramas, get together with their friends, write the dialogues in Sinhala first, and they can later translate them into English and act them out in classroom. So they will really enjoy this, and we tried this with some of our students in technical colleges, and they were really happy and they enjoyed this activity. Then we also did the interdisciplinary activity called based on folk tale called Parasya, a Sinhala folk tale. So different incidents, the main incidents are distributed to group by group, and each group, some members drew a picture and the other members wrote the dialogue. So after all the groups finished, we could call groups by groups, and when they finished their activity, we got the whole story complete in 1 hour's time with the pictures and the dialogues. Some were acting the dialogues and while the pictures were on the screen. So now you can understand that most of the activities, if you do these activities, you can really make them come close to the English language. First thing, they must get psychologically close to the language, otherwise there will be no acquisition. So I hope this new idea will be interesting to our English teachers serving in the rural areas, and I hope you will share this video with your friends working in the rural areas, and hope you will get better results by adopting this new method. So thank you for watching my video, and hope you will give some interesting comments. Thank you.